I need help with the financial part of it.
Okay. All right. So the first thing that we're going to go over, we're going to start with startup costs. So you'll be able to plug in any information that you may be missing along the way. Okay. All right. So the startup costs for the beginning for beginning a business, include all the expenses incurred before all any revenues are collected. So that means it relates to the size of your operation. So those costs may vary according to the size and the complexity of the operation. Y'all know when I've told y'all when I started my business, my first my private practice, I was one room with a curtain in between, a pull curtain. So I had a desk, I had a desk and a table and maybe a stool or something like that, and that was it. So depending on the complexity of your operation, I wanted to be very simple. I was working other jobs at the time, so I want to be very simple. So if your operation is very simple like that, or more complex, and you're often like opening like a big huge spa or something like that, that's the cost that you put in before you take any revenue for your services. That's what you're calculating when you're talking about startup costs. Startup costs are out-of-pocket expenses that must be considered during the planning stages and recovered before a profit is realized. So until you make all of that money back that you put into that startup cost, you haven't made a profit until you've gotten all of that back. So, so, and as a therapist, self-employment is a big thing. So most massage practitioners are self-employed. And that's from the time that you get your license. You're a self-employed individual. Whether you choose to, you can go out that day with your license and do a massage. You're self-employed at that point. So yeah, from the time that you get that license. So before you could work for yourself individually, and never go into business with anybody else. Or you can choose the other routes, which is going on working for a spa or any of these other businesses that we've talked about. Um, so, so as massage practitioners, you may choose to work out of your home, a small office space, a space shared with another practitioner, or in conjunction with another healthcare provider. Example is a doctor, chiropractor, or other professional. You can still be self-employed working for these individual people as well, because I hire people as contractors only. And I've made that decision. I will not hire employees, even teachers. When we start to hire teachers, teachers will be contractors. And that's true. That's me choosing how I want to do business. That cuts down on paperwork, less for me to do. So that's my individual decision. It may be something different that makes it more attractive for if y'all choose to do that, hiring employees and stuff like that. But that's something to discuss like with an accountant or something like that. But me having an outlook on how business goes as of right now, I just feel like it's a better decision for me to only have contractors. And I think this is my thing. What I think is going on right now. There are a lot of therapists out there that have worked for themselves forever since they started. A lot of people do not want to work for somebody else right now. I understand it. Being an independent business, you don't necessarily want to go into business for yourself, but you still want to be able to make money. You want to, as a teacher, you're not necessarily hands on. You may have gotten to the point where you've had an injury or something like that. You can't be as hands on as you've always been. Um, but they don't want to work for anybody else. So this gives you an opportunity to stay in the field and still work as a contractor. You're still an independent business, and and just work like that. So I feel like that's the way that this industry is. I think it's going that way a little bit. It may be a few people still out there that still want to work for somebody, but the people I've encountered, they want to stay how they are, still do independent contractor work, and still be able to do what they love to do. So that's my little take on that right there. It may not be like that always, but I feel like it's like that right now. Um, okay, so basic startup expenses. So your rent or your lease. The rent or lease can include first and last month's rent and a cleaning/damage deposit. These I've had a taste of what is out there now as far as like rents and leases and all that stuff like that. it is totally different than it was when I started out, which was 15 years ago. Um, they do want you to show proof of 3 times or whatever it is that you whatever the income that you have coming in. That's big when you're talking about. I'm talking about in relation to the school right now. So if you get a big bit like a building, they want you to show like 3 times. They want you to make 3 times or whatever that is. Let's say the building is $6,000 a month. They want 3 times $6,000. Um, so that I mean, it's crazy out here. I mean, I've had so many different. Um, I've gone into it with the outlook of 15 years ago, and I've had an awakening that things are not like they used to be 15 years ago. So you need to wake up and you need to bring your mind more into what's going on today, because it was not. I don't think it was 3 times the rent at that time back then. I'm not even sure what it was, but I was on a much smaller scale then. But I have to come into like, hey, this is a new age. These are different people that you're dealing with. Much bigger spaces that you're asking about. So you have to take all that into account when you're thinking about these huge operations, and always go into it knowing that you can start here and you can scale up. Go big or go home. Sometimes that will leave you closing down in a matter of months or a year or something like that. So always go into it knowing that you can start small and you can build. That's my mentality when I go into business. When I went into business, and I always tell people that you do not have to get the biggest business, and you don't have to have the biggest, shiniest storefront or anything like that. It doesn't take all that. You can start somewhere and then you can work your way up. So just think about that when you're putting your business plan together. Um, you can think about it as how you want to start, or you can build your dream business and then just keep working toward it. Be like an independent contractor and work your way till you get to the point where you get that dream business. So that's possibilities as well. Um, okay, the next thing you're going to look at after rent or lease, um, look at the utilities that you're going to have hooked up. What sometimes these the spaces that will come with the utilities in there, meaning you don't have to pay electricity. I think I spoke to someone 2 weeks ago, and the amount for the lease, it did not include the electricity, but it included what it did not include the water. It included something. It did include some of the utilities. Like here, electricity is included. You don't pay a water bill. So all of that, is to be taken into consideration when you go into these things like this. So if you were thinking about a space like this, and utilities and all that stuff like that wouldn't be an issue. Maybe internet, or let me see what else. Phone. What else? Internet, phone, and what else are you gonna need? I think that's about it. Internet and phone for the most part. That's what you're gonna need inside of your business. Another thing is, if you print a lot of things, you may need a monthly printer
Phone
plan.
line,
Hmm?
a phone line or anything like that for any kind of. Well, I mean, in the hospital it's still bad.
A lot of
So
people have done.
you gotta
And
think
some
about that.
people may, if they ever start accepting insurance, fax may be the only way to do
Yeah.
that type of business.
A lot
So,
of those people are old school.
yeah.
So you gotta know.
So, but when you have a business like this, in the office building like this, all of that is supplied with the rent. So your faxes and all that stuff like that can go through the front office. So take that into consideration too when looking at all of these office spaces around here. What do they offer that comes with the rent? Because all that stuff is it's gonna add up. And that's the things that I was looking at when I was, looking into different spaces for the school. Those are the extra bills that are going to have to be paid if they don't come with electricity or whatever it is that you're thinking that could come in there. So factor all of that in. Um, Laundry, that could be a fee. If you don't want to do your laundry yourself, that could be a laundry fee that you want to do. I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, a nice convenience. They can be. I checked into the laundromat that's right up the street up here on Highland Avenue, just right. I mean, like a block up, and they charge. I think they said $6 per sheet set. So I have 15. I have 15 sets of sheets sometimes. I was like, I'll do it myself. I'm not even worried about it. But yeah, that was a couple of years ago. That was more than a couple. That was some years back. So imagine what that is now. So whoever's doing it, they're making a whole lot of money. Um, but okay, so the reason why I would consider that is because I've went through 3 washers and dryers in the last 10 years. So all of these sheets, they're hard on your appliances. So you can get the nicest one. I have a brand new one now. I had some used ones. I will say I did have some used ones in there. But this one that I have currently, it was bought a couple of years ago, and it's holding up pretty well, but it's hard on your washer. So that's the only reason I would consider, using like a laundry service if I ever had to, because yeah, it's hard on that.
So probably buying a brand new washer, like it probably pays for itself versus spending hundreds of dollars a week.
It does. If you can get a good washer dryer, I think it can last you a long time. But it can eat away at it depending on how many sheets you're using. If you're super busy, it can wear it down. I mean, if you're not having to replace it, for once every 10 years or something like that, that's fine. But if they start to, tear it more frequently and all this stuff like that, then it becomes like a burden. Um, okay. Utilities hookup charges and deposits for electric, gas, telephone, and internet access might have to be paid. Um, Most of the time, the electricity, I think there's a deposit that has to be paid when you do that. I know there's when you have a home, you have to pay a deposit when you get it hooked up. If the building uses, I don't see why. I mean, but just different businesses, um, they say gas, telephone, and internet access. So just depending on the building and what utilities that they need to run that building. Okay, so equipment and supplies. We use very little equipment and supplies. So our massage table, and you get a good one. Those can last a very long time. Um, and supplies like lotion. I buy it by the bucket most of the time, and you can spend the lotion. I buy it by the 5-gallon bucket, so that can last us. It can last us 6 months. I mean, here, and we supply your lotion. So between all of us that have been using it here, that can last 6, 7 months. So just depending on how many massages that we're doing, it can last quite a long time. So buy the bucket, maybe like $100 if you get it on sale or something like that. Not more than $150 that you're going to spend on a bucket. So, not many supplies that we're using. Um, Towels and all that stuff like that. All the extra pillows and things like that you might need as well. Bolsters. And your linens. Your linens can last a long time as well, as long as you make sure that you're maintaining them well. Okay, so then if you want to, we're still on startup costs. So if you want to decorate your office, things like that, you want to add into your startup costs. If you want to paint, your space, things like that. Curtains, plants, and other items, they're possibly expenses too. Office supplies. There are things like necessary office supplies might include calculator, printer, computer software, pens, staplers, all those things. Writing paper, filing supplies, and appointment and receipt books. A lot of these things you can find things online to keep up with these things. I've gone to a lot of computerized stuff now, just because it's more convenient for me. Rather than keeping a paper receipt book like I used to, I don't keep that anymore. Everything's online. Um, Not just receipt books, appointment books. All of my stuff is online. Hope it never goes down or anything like that. So I'm sure these big companies have backups and stuff like that. I'm hoping they do anyway. Otherwise, I'm just going to be sitting here all day long waiting on people because. I mean, somebody was on the books, and somebody's got to show up. Somebody was on the books. I look at my book a week ahead, so I was like, I'm working 6 days this week, so I'm gonna be here 9 to 2, 6 days this week, and somebody's coming. So just hope it don't ever go down. So all right, so after office supplies, advertising expenses. So you got to get somebody in there. That can be real inexpensive. When you boost a post on Facebook, that can cause you can spend $10, $15 and target like 1,000 people sometimes. So advertising can be real inexpensive. Now, if you want to go use billboards,
No
this
billboards.
stuff
Hate billboards here.
is expensive. No, we don't do billboards.
We hate billboards.
I don't advise billboards.
We hate billboards.
No, I didn't. I mean, I hate billboards, but wow.
Billboards. I did billboards did not, pay off at all. I think that's still one of the things. It wasn't when I started out either. It was probably I wouldn't say midway through or a little bit over midway through. A digital billboard, $750. No, it was more than that. This was over $1,000 because I paid it in increments. So I paid $750 and then I had to pay another fee after that. Just over $1,000 that I spent. And I got my clients, my regular clients coming back and saying, "Oh, I seen your billboard." I didn't get anybody coming in and said they seen that billboard. And I had them on.
The lights are out.
Yes.
They changed too fast for you to even be able to.
That's what happened, I think. So maybe so I'm going to change that. Maybe if you get the standalone, just the one that's just there, and it's just I don't know how much that costs.
Hope it don't rain no 80-mile-an-hour front line winds.
Oh, that'll tear it to pieces. Yeah, but I think if it would have been a standalone, I think it would have done better. But I mean, I don't know. I don't have the greatest outlook on billboards because I don't know if people are. I don't know if that's not my target. That's going in all these different places. And my billboard wasn't in just one place. It was on like big traffic spots where people could have been sitting in traffic at all of these spots. But like you said, it's changing too fast, and people's attention is probably it could be anywhere. It could be looking at all these different things that are in front of them over here and not paying attention to that billboard. But way too much money to not have it pan out. I should have people pouring in the door if it was my target. But I don't think it was for the massage clients that I was looking for, and it has never paid off. So I don't advise billboards. You have more owner clients? Yes, my clients are. I say probably like between 40 and 90.
Young people don't hurt like that.
This one person.
I would take it back a little further, and I would say, between 30, maybe 30 and 30, 35, and goes all the way up to 90. So yeah, I mean, but some younger people. Well, yes, they are. They're very actually. When I switched to that, people love the idea of getting that text message. When I switched to Square texts them their appointments, and it emails them as well. They love that part of it. They'll interact with it, and they'll even cancel. You can cancel your appointment, you can reschedule your appointment, all of that. So they were really good with that. Even some of the older ones.
For cancellations and rescheduling.
Just making sure that they cancel within 24 hours. Or there is a fee involved. If you don't cancel in time enough for me to reschedule that appointment, that's a $25 fee. And I have it so that they have to, if you book online, there's it's $25 to book online. To book anytime really. But most of the time, if they want to schedule an appointment and they go into my online booking site, it's $25. I'm not able to charge that's my deposit. It goes toward their massage. Um, but some sites, booking sites, will allow you to do like a 50% booking, because when I do my massages at another place, they allow a 50% deposit to be paid. So that's a good thing to kind of make sure that makes it so people do show up though. It's more likely that they're gonna show up if they've already paid a fee. So I would
So
I
if they don't
encourage
cancel in time, you just keep their deposit.
yes. That's definitely, and some people will, if you don't show up, they will keep that fee and then they would
And
charge you the
another
rest
fee.
of it too. So I don't do that, but some people, I understand, that was a whole spot that I'm missing. And if you didn't show up, I couldn't book anybody else in that spot. So that I lost all of that money, not half of it. So I mean, I understand it. So take that in mind when you're looking for a booking an appointment setting app of some sort, whether you want to set those type of things up. And make sure you look into their site to see if they offer all these different things. Square does not. They make it's a workaround though. You have to make it so that it's almost like they're paying the entire fee, and then you kind of have to make exclamation at the bottom. This is not the entire fee. This is just a deposit toward this price right here. So you kind of have to break it down for clients that, will take this as, okay, I've paid my entire fee with that $25. So make sure you're very clear. Be very clear with any policies that you put in place, because people will misunderstand and then, try to go back and forth with you about policies and stuff like that. So very clear.
$25 for an hour massage.
Yeah. So
Come on now.
be very clear. Be very clear with people.
Yeah, exactly.
They will do it. So any policies, make sure you have them on your website, written down somewhere inside your office, everywhere that a client can view anything about you, on your Facebook page, anywhere. Policies very clear. Yes, very, very clearly stated everywhere. Okay. All right. So the next thing is, different type of advertising. So, my websites are, I think my website, to host my website, I think it's only like $20 a year. But I've made all my websites too. If you want to pay some, they look beautiful when somebody that actually does that work does them. So I'm just on the cheap side. I'm very frugal when it comes to any and everything. But if you get the site built, and just make sure that you're able to run your site.
Right.
So if you're going to pay the money to have it built and make it real pretty and all that stuff like that, go in for a lesson to get to know how you can go in and make the changes that need to be changed, so that you don't have to go and pay them again to have them show you how to make the changes that you need to make within your website. So just go into that, just knowing a little bit about it when you get it set up, so that you don't come out having to spend all those extra fees. So the website is another form of advertising. I haven't had anybody ask me about a website lately, but back then when my website was kind of raggedy, and a lot of people used to ask me, what's your website? And it was this long, drawn out, it was a real long name that it was. And people used to ask me about websites, but people could just, put your name in now and it's going to pop up. Something's going to pop up. So everything's gotten a whole lot easier. Business cards. Those were, people were asking me about business cards a few weeks ago. So I mean, having some, even though I thought they had kind of went away a little bit, people are still asking for business cards. So yeah, make sure you have some business cards too to hand out to people if you're talking about your business at any time.
Oh yeah, those ladies asked you for some.
They did. So I mean, I made sure.
Really loud ladies. I remember.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I remember I felt bad about it then. I felt bad again.
Yes.
It was with another friend who was hearing impaired.
Oh yeah, that's right. And yes, she sure was.
Yeah.
All right, so printing expense. Okay, that's what I was talking about. Like your HP, I have this HP ink thing that I pay like a monthly fee on, I print a lot. Y'all haven't seen a whole lot of that yet. Wait until we get in anatomy. Y'all will have handouts. It's gonna get outrageous. But I print a lot of stuff. So that's the reason for me to have like a a monthly printing thing that I have here to make sure that I get all the ink that I need. I buy the paper and I just make sure that I have all the ink that I need to print all your stuff up. But yeah, having that if you need it to do that type of thing.
Did you ever need it before you started this?
No, not at all. No, because I used you have access to the printer in here. And you just have to, I think it's like 10 cents a copy unless it went up. I'm not sure. I haven't used it since I got that going right there. But 10 cents a copy most of the time. Well, you're going to have to, you'll have to print if you choose to print your own stationery, or if you have you might have somebody else making it, but the printing expense, that's to print out all, your business cards, stationery, client intake forms, all that stuff like that. But that could easily be printed, up front. And then you having enough to, unless you do like an online
I was about to ask.
intake form.
Do you do that or do you use paper?
I do somewhat of one. However Square is able to allows me to do things. It's a contract on there that I do. It kind of takes the place of it a little bit. I do SOAP chart within those contracts within the client's files though, because you still have to have a place to do your SOAP chart in there. But there's a workaround instead of printing all the extra stuff like that. So yeah, it's a way to do all that stuff. Okay, so your licenses and permits, your professional license, you'll have that when you're starting up your business. Your professional license and your business license, that's the exact same thing. Your massage license is your occupational license. So you won't have to go and get a separate business license unless you unless you do like it's something outside of a private practice. Like if you do like a spa or something like that, or if you open a gym, you won't have to have like separate business licenses unless you go and get into a bigger business that's outside of private practice. So make sure you check with your local whoever your local what's it called? The name is completely escaping me. I was just looking at it today. The local authority who's over like the commercial businesses and stuff like that. That's what I'm talking about. It'll come to me a little bit later. Planning and something. Okay, next thing. So initial operating expense. An initial expense is opening a business checking account with enough capital to cover miscellaneous expenses until the business is up and running. The good thing about massage therapy, those initial expenses going to be very, very minimal. If we're talking about private practice, when I say very minimal, I'm talking about private practice. I'm not talking about like if you're open like a spa or something like that. So to open the doors of your private practice, let's say in a small office in here, all of those expenses that rent and lease and all that stuff like that, it's not going to take day-to-day money to run that business. Once you have all your supplies and all that stuff that you need, it's not going to be not really any expenses day to day until the next month that you have to pay your rent and all that stuff like that. So the day-to-day expenses is going to be minimal to zero. Okay, so professional fees might be necessary for an attorney, accountant. This is probably like different points in the year. Never needed an attorney for anything. Not to say that it won't happen, but I've never needed to hire an attorney, an accountant. I never needed to hire an accountant until I got into the more technical part of it being the school. because a lot of those, I always went for simple accounting. So I've never needed anything because I've made it so I didn't want any paperwork. If I didn't need paperwork, I didn't want it. And very minimal paperwork. Just a matter of keeping up with receipts and stuff like that. And then me being able to do my taxes. It was just, I made it really simple. And if you're doing like a website, a graphic artist or something like that, there are sites for this now too. So one that I was using not long ago, where you can go on and design all of your own logos and everything. So not necessarily needing to hire on these unless you would like to. And if you wanted to like trade out like these services like with the graphic artist or something like that, maybe they'll do like your website and then you'll give them massages and stuff like that. So being able to barter for these services too, that's a good thing. So if somebody offers, I would say take advantage of it. And then it's saying like a business coach. A lot of free services around here. When we talk about starting up your businesses, there are a lot of free classes like around that will help you, start your business if you need to. This is a big one, money management. So as an independent contractor, and maybe you will be coming from a job where you're paid every week, every 2 weeks or something like that. When you're a massage therapist, you're paid every day. And you have to know how to put that money away in order to get, compile all this money for the expenses that are going to come. So you can't go, to go shopping every day because you got, your money in that day. So you have to have a good concept of how to keep that money, how to go put it in the bank or put it, in your safe or something like that, to be able to pay your bills every month and to, continue to build your money and to, eventually make a profit and, live how you would like to live. So in planning your business, it's important to establish good credit for your business and to develop a strong relationship with your bank, because you may initially require a business loan to have sufficient working capital. If it gets to that point, you want to be in good standing with the bank so that you're able to, yes, you can start a business with, your income and, and get to the point where you build up your income to the point where you have like the money to start the business. You can do that. But at some point, you might need to go to the bank and say, hey, have them look at your business plan. I need this amount of money to open this business right here. So you want to be in good standing with the bank. Putting your money in the bank, it shows that, I think it builds trust within the bank. And it helps them, it lets them know how much money you have coming in. That's another part of it, the technical part of it. They need to know how much money that you have coming in. And the more that you put the money in the bank consistently, they know how your money is coming in and that it kind of builds trust within the bank. So that is a good way to, putting your money in the bank is a good way to show the bank your trustworthiness. It usually takes time to build clientele, so money must be available to take care of necessary expenses. A major cause of small business failure is owners' inexperience in judging overhead expenses and having inadequate capital to carry the business through slow periods. So that's something to think about. And these slow periods, I'm telling y'all ahead of time, slow periods can be, this may change, but this, in my experience over the years, January, first part of January can be slow at times. The next part, for sure, October, maybe early November. Those are sometimes. The rest of the year is pretty steady between February to, let me put this into the end of September to the beginning of November can be a slow period. Anytime from February to mid-September can be steady, and you can have steady business. That's a possibility. But those slow periods, they've consistently been the beginning of January and around that time that I was saying, the end of September into the 1st of November. So try to remember that when, you're thinking about always, use good management, money management, sense, but think about those times when, when things are going on. Don't be shocked if it's that time every single year. What I do is I plan things like my continuing education or something like that. Plan something around that time, or plan your vacation around that time. That'll be a good thing to do. So that it won't seem you'll be doing something, constructive, which is getting rest or something like that. And the rest of the year, you can push through like those very busy times when you have those.
Such a nice thought. So we're gonna go on vacation.
Okay, so okay, always know always know where your money is being spent and operate with sufficient cash flow. Okay, that's just making sure that you're spending from when it's a business expense, spending from the business account and stuff like that. Make sure that you're covering all the expenses that the business is incurring. Make sure that that's being spent with the business account. As income and profits grow, the budget can be increased for expansion of facilities, advertising, and other areas of growth if needed. All right, so with this, how I've kind of described everything, you'll be able to, if you are watching the money as it's coming in, you will be able to, you'll be able to, and there are things with the Square system that I have. I'm able to, they have graphs and charts and all this stuff like that. It shows you where there's been an increase, or something like that. So there are so many, softwares that are out there now. They take all the brain work out of this. So it's not like, let's say you have all your money coming in through Square, which is just what I have coming in. And they're able to tell you, okay, your profits increased from this month to this month. You can do it 3 month. You can do it 6 month. You can see whether your profits increased from this 6 months right here and compared to the 6 months before. It's a lot of brain work that's been taken out of this stuff. I love it because I was like, if I don't have to do the math to kind of figure that out, and it's already, the numbers are already here and I can see it, it just makes it less stressful, and then you don't have to figure all that stuff out. So just make sure that you're minding the money, making sure it stays where it's at and where it needs to be at all times. It takes all that brain work out of that, and so that you can watch the money and make sure that no one else has their hands in it or anything like that. So all right, so any questions about those startup costs? So how far have y'all gotten so far? And I'm gonna let y'all get to y'all break, but I want to know how far have y'all gotten as far as like startup cost. As far as researching it, have y'all done any research about?
I've done
I was gonna say I'm doing the financial part right now. I've got like tables and supplies and all that, but I haven't looked for like a spot, like a.
Okay. What I want you to do, I want you to look in your general area to kind of see. There are so many sites out there, and this is just your dream spot. Sometimes they'll have like the numbers like right on there, about what you're going to need. There's this site. It's called Crexy, and it's just like one of those real estate sites that you can look on there. They'll have the monthly on there, how much you'll be paying monthly as far as the rent and stuff like that, the rent or lease. And they'll have whether it's electricity included or what utilities are included and all that stuff like that. So they'll have all of that written within the advertisement. So that's what I want you to do within your area or wherever you wanted to set up. I would like you to look for that type of space to kind of see what you want to work toward. So if y'all have any questions about that, I can answer any questions about that. So let's just start with that. Finding the place that you want to set up. Yes.
Do I look for prices of RVs?
If
Trailer?
if that's how you start you're doing your business plan now? Okay.
Not yet. I gotta work up to the shit, man. You just go to get by.
Listen,
Yes.
what you say about going big and then failing? Then you gotta live on the boat.
But yes, I will look at the RV places and see and start there. Like the RV places that are around here, see what the monthly rental lease is going to be on those right there, because you can do those too. You can rent to own those as well. And I would look at, okay, that's as far as I would go on that. Just more focus on getting it, because they're getting that, and that'll be your place where you set up. That's all inclusive. I mean, that has all your electricity is going to be in there, your water, all that stuff is going to be included in there. So,
I don't have to take care of the waste myself. I'm looking for it.
I'm not sure how hard or easy.
Oh, that's not that.
Don't you just go and hook up to like a something and flip a switch or something?
But every park and stuff like that, yeah, they've got dump sites.
It may be super easy.
Dude, you just pump up the orange.
That's what I've seen. So that may be pretty easy. It may not be that often, because I mean you may do a whole lot of clients, but that your restroom and stuff like that may not get that much use. You may not be dumping that often. Yeah, so
It might be an emergency only, and it depends on how big your black tank is. I mean, that's not that bad.
You know how bad the situation else have to be done in the RV that I was about to do this summer?
Right? Emergencies happen. You got to plan for it.